This is a part 2 video on this bike. If you want to see this starting from the very start, which is engine, wheels, and tires, and the entire frame building process and how this frame came to be, along with the technical aspects of that, part 1 is on my channel. So go check that out if you're interested. What's up, guys and ladies out there? I know it's been a good minute since I've done any video. There are certain reasons for that, which I'll get into in a little bit, I suppose. I will get, for my viewers that have been with me for a long time and asking when I'm going to make more videos or if I'm going to make more videos. But I know right now there's people tuning in that just want to get to the bike, and I don't want to give you some long strung out intro on all that stuff, but I will get to it. This bike has been done now for a good minute, man. I just haven't done any video on it, and I do still get a lot of questions on it on certain things, so I will try to cover that as quickly as possible. And anyway, so let's try to move things along here quickly. This is 100% built from scratch bike. So it's my entire frame. The only thing that's not mine is like obviously the Springer front end's not mine, but the frame's mine. Even the handlebars are mine. I got this. They're kind of, I could have bought something that was more like just a straight drag bar, but I actually stepped these, try to get. And I've been battling trying to get good light to even do a video lately. So this is 1.25 inches, and then it's stepped to 1 inch for the ends. I just wanted something a little bit different because this bike is so freaking enormous that with just the straight 1 inch 1 inch diameter drag bar in there, it seemed too much like a spaghetti noodle, just too tiny. But yeah, my bars, it's a West Coast Choppers tank. Villain tank, which I actually just added over the winter. So I originally had this tank on there, and this is actually just a basic narrow Frisco style tank like you would see on a sporty or a more normal size chopper, 2.5 gallon. And to show you the difference, it was just way too small for the size of this bike. See if I can get this to balance without screwing myself and having it fall off and get a dent. But anyway, you can see the difference in that. And I picked up a whole gallon, 3.5 gallon with the West Coast tank. So I got that swapped out, and the bike actually looked okay with it. Some people were even asking me, they were like, why did you swap it out? It looked fine. And this engine is really thirsty. So it's a 1700 Roadstar engine, and so it's big, but it's also got a Mikuni HSR 42 flat slide carb on it. And I love this bike, first of all, but I really love this engine, and I'm super glad that I went this route. These are 4 spark plug, 2 per cylinder, 8 valve, which is 4 per cylinder, twin cam design engines. And so they're a twin cam, but they're gear driven twin cam from the factory. And anyhow, being a 1700 with the Mikuni flat slide carb and 8 valves and everything, and a lot of times I'm heavy on the throttle. It's just the way I ride. It does get thirsty, so going up to the 3.5 gallon tank really helped a lot. And this tank is actually quite a bit longer too. I think it's like 4.5 or 5 inch, I want to say, longer than the other Sportster, narrow Sportster tank is. So all around, it just helped a lot. It was, aesthetically, capacity wise, everything. I've actually got the West Coast cap for it, and it was pretty cool. They sent me both, because the other one is the smooth one. And by the way, if you can't tell, the bike is entirely still bare metal. Which, there you go too. It's always people with this started out as my welding work slash business, but I wound up not even focusing on that stuff in the long run. So this is 100% TIG welded. But anyway, it's bare metal, the entire thing. I just take care of it with Gibbs, which I can get to in a minute. I ran the smooth cap, and I also haven't painted it yet, but there's very, very minimal stuff on this bike that would be like considered self-expression. I just wanted to focus on the raw motorcycle, stripped down, what a motorcycle, what a chopper is, because I think they're a sexy art form. The machine itself is a sexy art form without adding a bunch of expressive garbage to it. And I think that's why this style of bike has gotten such a bad rap too the last 15 years or so. Because when all the theme bikes came out and everything, and I'm seeing the same thing happen with rat rod cars now, it just gets to the point where it starts off being nice with bikes that had a few accent pieces, but then it just gets out of control. And so I've got little stuff like this on there, and the air cleaner, and the tailpipe tips, this heat shield. But I wanted to keep it minimum. I wanted to keep it raw. I mean, really, even the colors you paint a bike or a car or whatever are part of the expression of that thing. And like I said, I wanted to focus on the machine. So I was adamant about running a front brake, and it's a 4-piston. This is a TC Bros caliper. I've had to rebuild this thing once out of the box. It leaked. But I got it straightened out now, and 11.5-inch rotor. This is a 2-over front end. So this is a 23 front wheel. Which, is 2 over the 21 that's more typical. And that being said, this would have been a 4 over front end if you were running a 21. I know you can do the math, so that's why. So it's a 23 2 over. I set the ground to frame clearance at 5 inches with a slight bit of downward rake towards the front. And this actually started as a donor frame, a donor 300 frame, a right side drive for a HD style engine and right side drive transmission that I found on Marketplace for $500. And I didn't want to go with an HD engine, but the thing that cemented it was when I checked it, it had a 2 3/4 inch ground clearance to it, which is ridiculously low for the street. Like, I could tell whoever had built it, it was for show only. And I had already bought the 300 for it. This is an 18 by 310 tire. And I was like, so that was set. I already had the wheel, but I'm like, well, I got to build a whole new frame from scratch. So that donor frame, which I can throw in some pics at the end, I robbed these axle blocks off of it because I thought they were really nice. And I made these cover plates. It didn't have those. And it's set up for internal set screw chain tensioners, which I've really liked. Shout out to Gabe, Big Gabe's Chops, for walking me through how to set those up. And I had taken, this was the original peg bar, which has got the VIN number in it, and I kept the steering headstock out of that frame because it had nice internal stops, which when I went to the Springer front end, I didn't even need. But other than that, it's 100% my frame. Like I said, the bars. And I'm super glad I went with this Roadstar engine now. Especially just not only for what this engine is, but the way things have gone in the motorcycle market and community in general the last 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 years. I'm really glad I went with this. I'm not going to get into all that, why, but I'm really glad. So, to answer your questions on how did I make a Roadstar right side chain final drive, these engines from the factory come with a mid-drive case here, and it actually converts the right side transmission output to a left side belt final, and it's actually got a chain here in the case, as those of you that have Roadstars know, and then there's a shaft that goes across, and it's a belt final. And they actually did that to decrease, they changed the ratios here to where that it decreases the final drive belt speed to prolong the life of the belt, and also it held part of the engine oil just like a Harley V-twin. So you can get rid of that whole case, which is what I did. It's completely gone, and you can run a sprocket right off the engine transmission shaft itself, chain sprocket. And I only have this here because I had to get the chain to clear this big fat tire. So this is basically an outer bearing support because I had to make a huge offset sprocket here to get the chain out far enough. This plate actually has a 1-inch steel round shaft welded to it that extends into the sprocket that has a bearing inside of it, and it supports this sprocket this way laterally, so that under load it's not, all that torque's not going on the transmission bearing. That's what this deal is. And as far as the oil, then you can run a Harley Davidson style oil tank and two external your feed and return lines to that. And one thing I did learn, this needs to be vented, which is what this line is here. I've got it vented to a catch can on the other side. I was told early on, with complete wrong information, that these oil tanks don't need to be vented on Roadstars because, now this is partly true, this right here is part of your crankcase ventilation, which it is, but it's completely separate. This will not vent this. And so what had happened was, it's also my oil tank, is I originally made it with no vent, and about the second time I had this fired up and idling in the shop, guess what? This built up so much pressure from not being vented that this line exploded off of here. The bike was parked right about here. I had hot oil blown all the way out there and all over this truck, and fortunately I was standing talking with a guy on the other side of the bike. Otherwise we both would have been screwed. So I built the tank obviously to where I could fill it and service it. I put a drain on the other side. Like I said, it does need to be vented, but you can do this to any Roadstar. You know, you don't even have to do the outer bearing support if you're running, say, like a more common 200 rear or skinnier. And I actually learned this info off of other guys that have already done it. And these are newer Harley Davidson Softail controls with wide FMX pegs. And of course I had to make the brackets and everything to mount them. And that's about it. Picked up the triangle LED light. And, you know, it just has what it needs to be a riding motorcycle. It's got one mirror, so hopefully LEO doesn't get on me about not having any mirrors. It has one tail light / brake light, and other than that, it's just a straight up chopper. And if any of you are interested, because I also get asked a lot about the wiring, So this is the stock Roadstar wiring for a stock bike. There are hurdles to overcome if you want to do a chopper install like this. I can do, this is the wiring schematic that I wound up going with, which mainly gets rid of this whole main relay and all the safety sensors for like kickstand, clutch, brake, all that that will keep the engine from running or sparking if those sensors aren't in place. The other thing is, as you might notice on this, there's no coils showing. So I robbed one more off of West Coast Choppers, which if you haven't been able to tell, the design of this bike is based off the CFL1. But the coils are actually mounted down here behind the transmission. And I just ran the lines all down there. I didn't want them up on the engine. And while I'm here, I made these cover plates. Batteries here, obviously, but all my electronics are in there. So I am running a Dyna 3000 ECU on this, and just ignition on, off, key, and start button. And I think that's about it, man. Alright guys, well thanks for tuning in. I know it has been a minute since I have done any video, and a lot of times 7, 8, 9 months or even a year can go by. I don't think I've reached a year yet where that I haven't done video, but certainly there has been times where it's been a couple of months, and I'm usually, depending on what's going on, I'm usually so busy I just don't have time for it. That's why I don't do a lot of fancy editing and long high production intros and all that kind of stuff, because I just don't have time for it. I'm not going to hire somebody to do it either, but I've been good, I've been fine, and it's usually somebody will drop me a message or a comment and be like, hey, what's going on? Are you still doing videos? Which was actually the case with this. That and people wanting to know certain questions about that bike. I've got this new build going. I'm swapping that engine into this car. Don't know if I'll do any video on that project or build at this time. It is a crossbreed build, so putting another engine make model in a different make model car. And I don't know if I really want to get into that online, because there's a lot of people that like to complain about that. And which brings me to being online in general. Some of you have noticed I haven't been on Instagram hardly at all lately. In fact, 2024, I didn't even go to one single event. It's just, this has always been about the work for me, not so much the social side of things. And also, I got really, the industrial work that I do picked up a lot last year, and especially going into the end of last year. So I got busy with that, and I never post that stuff. The industrial welding work that I do, or the repair work, which I do a lot of too. It could be like construction trailers, contractors, equipment stuff that breaks and all that. All kinds of weird construction type of stuff that people need me to make one-off stuff, and I don't post it. I don't put any of it out there because nobody cares. And I've had to get into this with people that are like, because you see my builds all the time, and somebody had asked me, they're like, well, do you do anything besides your stuff? And the answer is yes, but I never post it because nobody cares. That's how the internet works. Everyone wants to show me something shiny. So that's basically the end of the story right there. But anyway, no, I haven't been on, but I've been fine. I've been great. In fact, I've been really great. On a personal note, I've been sober for 5 years now, since December of 2024. I work out, I run, I eat well now, and are healthy and all that. So I've been great. I just haven't been online much. And but yeah, I'm still here doing what I do. thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your concern, or thanks for just letting me know you want to see more content. I always consider it a privilege that people want to or take interest in what I do. I think that's a pretty cool deal. So I will try to keep you updated. All right. Thanks, guys.